some that did hold on to it. Acts 2, and I believe, let me look at it real quick.
Verse 5.
Okay, go ahead.
Acts 2, verse 5. And there were dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, devout men, out of every nation under heaven. Now when this was noised abroad, the multitude came together and were confounded, because that every man heard them speak in his own language. So
now these Jews, these devout men out of every nation under heaven, why were they under every nation under heaven? We just read it in Deuteronomy 28:64. The prophecy was that because of disobedience, Israel would be scattered amongst all people. Okay? So now what you're reading in Acts 2 are those Jews that remained devout to the Levitical covenant. Go ahead.
Verse 7. And they were all amazed and marveled, saying one to another, Behold, are not all these which speak Galileans?
Meaning, don't these Israelites only speak Hebrew? Go ahead.
And how hear we every man in our own tongue, wherein we were born?
How do we Jews, hear them speak in every tongue wherein we were born? Go ahead.
Parthians.
Now these are the lands that they were scattered in, okay?
Parthians and Medes and Elamites.
And what is Parthians and Medes and Elamites? Goes back to the Persian Mede captivity. Go ahead.
And Elamites and the dwellers in Mesopotamia.
What is Mesopotamia? From ancient Babylon. Go ahead.
And in Judea and Cappadocia and in Pontus and Asia.
Meaning Asia Minor from the time of the Greeks. You had Israelites scattered throughout Asia Minor. Go ahead.
Phrygia and Pamphylia, in Egypt and in the parts of Libya about Cyrene.
North Africa.
And strangers of Rome, Jews and proselytes.
Jews and proselytes. Those proselytes were converts, meaning they were converted from paganism back to the Levitical covenant. Go ahead.
Crates and Arabians, we do hear them speak in our own tongues the wonderful works of God.
So the apostles were prophesying and teaching them about the wonderful works of God, which was Christ dying on the cross to redeem the Israelites scattered in all these nations. So this remnant here that you're reading about in Acts 2 were a remnant of Israelites who was born in the lands of their captivities, but they remained and held on to the Levitical covenant. Okay, so now, let's go back into the history in 1 Maccabees chapter 1. Let's go back into the history of the Greek captivity. 1 Maccabees chapter 1, we're going to read verses 41 to 50.
1 Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, and everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion.
See that? Many also of the Israelites consented to his religion. What was the Greeks' plan? To make one world religion. A new world order. That's what the Greeks were doing. They said everybody, because remember the Greeks conquered all nations, all the dark nations, and had them under them. They said everybody's going to follow our religion, our Greek religions. Go ahead, and many of the Israelites?
Verse 43. Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion, and sacrificed unto idols, and profaned the Sabbath. For the king had sent letters.
And they sacrificed unto what?
Unto idols.
Remember we read in Deuteronomy 28:64? It said that when you were scattered in these places, you would serve other gods, even wood and stone. That was Deuteronomy 28, verse 64. Here's the scriptural proof right here. Read it again.
Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion, and sacrificed unto idols, and profaned the Sabbath. For the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land, and forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbaths and festival days, and pollute the sanctuary and holy people, set up altars and groves and chapels of idols, and sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts. And they should also lead their children uncircumcised, and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation, to the end they might forget the law and change all the ordinances.
That was the Greeks' purpose, to the end that the Israelites might forget the law and change all the ordinances. Go ahead.
Verse 50. And whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said, he should die.
You see, and what we're reading about here in this history is the same thing you're reading about in a book that you'll read about in the book of Revelation when it says, though the dragon went to make war against those that keep the commandments. Yeah. See how these Greeks, they changed all the ordinance of God, forced the Israelites, don't keep God's laws. Don't spank your children. Don't circumcise your children. Don't say anything's wrong with homosexuality or lesbianism. What we're living today is the same thing. Okay? So now, from there, let's go to 2 Maccabees chapter 6. 2 Maccabees chapter 6. And let's read verse 6 to 9. More on the same topic.
2 Maccabees chapter 6, starting in verse 6. Neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days, or ancient feasts, or to profess himself at all to be a Jew.
And you know, pause there a second. Neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days. When we just read that they changed the ordinances, they changed the Sabbath days to another day. Did they do that today in this kingdom? They changed the seventh day Sabbath to what day? The first day of the week called Sunday. They're changed. It's the same. We're in the midst of Bible prophecy even now. So read that again.
2 Maccabees chapter 6, verse 6. Neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days, or ancient feasts, or to profess himself at all to be a Jew.
So it was unlawful to even say you were a Jew of the kingdom of Judah. That's what Jew means, of Judah. Go ahead.
Verse 7. And in the day of the king's birth every month, they were brought by bitter constraint to eat of the sacrifices. And when the feast of Bacchus was kept, the Jews were compelled to go in procession to Bacchus, carrying ivy.
So the Jews were forced to celebrate pagan days and eat sacrifices that the heathen, the Greeks, had set up. Go ahead.
Moreover, they went out a decree to the neighbor cities of the heathen by the suggestion of Ptolemy against the Jews that they should observe the same fashions and be partakers of their sacrifice.
That they should observe the same fashions. Today, what do they do today? Right. They tell us, you must observe the same fashions. Thanksgiving, Christmas, Halloween, Easter, what else they got? Mother's Day, Father's Day, Valentine's Day, July 4th, Labor Day. The same thing. Okay, go ahead.
Verse 8. Verse 9. And whosoever would not conform themselves to the manners of the Gentiles should be put to death.
So now back then they was literally putting the Israelites to death. Okay, you just wait. You hold on. All right. Read that again.
And whosoever would not conform themselves to the manners of the Gentiles should be put to death.
See, this is the history you're missing in Christianity. You're going to the book of Matthew all confused and confounded because you don't know the history of what happened. Okay, so from there, let's go to 2 Maccabees let's go to Romans 9. Romans 9. I'm showing you the link from the Apocrypha. This is why the Apocrypha was taken out, by the way. Right. Romans 9. Let's start at verse 24. Okay? Romans 9, verse 24.
Romans chapter 9, verse 24. Even us, whom he hath called, not of the Jews only, but also of the Gentiles.
So now read that again.
Even us, whom he hath called.
So Paul says, even us, the Lord has called. Go ahead.
Not of the Jews only.
So what did it mean when he said not of the Jews only? What tribe was Paul from? Get that in Romans 11:1.
Romans chapter 11, verse 1. I say then, hath God cast away his people? God forbid. For I also am an Israelite, of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin.
So Paul was of the tribe of Benjamin. He was not of the tribe of Judah. So let's go back to Romans 9:24.
Even us, whom he hath called, not of the Jews only.
Meaning not of Judah only,
but also of the Gentiles.
But also of the Gentiles. So Paul said, even us of the Gentiles. Why? Because the Judah was calling those other Israelites Gentiles. Okay, read down.
Verse 25. As he saith also in Hosea, I will call them my people, which were not my people, and her beloved, which was not beloved. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people, there shall they be called the children of the living God.
So Paul is quoting Hosea. That's what OC means, Hosea. So now many people in Christianity go, see there, I will call them my people which were not my people, meaning all nations. That's a lie. Let's read the actual quote in Hosea chapter 1, verse 10 and 11. You at home, you should be reading along with us.
Taking notes.
Right, taking notes.
Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, Ye are not my people, there it shall be said unto them, Ye are the sons of the living God.
Read the verse again.
Yet the number of the children of Israel,
Subject matter, the children of Israel,
shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them,
in the place where it was said unto them, the children of Israel,
Ye are not my people, there it shall be said unto them, Ye are the sons of the living God.
Who was saying that those Israelites were not the children of God? The religious leaders of Israel. If you were not following the Levitical covenant, they called you an outcast. You were a stranger to the covenant. Go ahead.
Verse 11. Then shall the children of Judah and the children of Israel be gathered together.
So this is the prophecy. Go ahead.
And appoint themselves one head.
Meaning Christ.
And they shall come up out of the land.
The rapture.
For great shall be the day of Jezreel.
Right. So now, let's go back to Romans 9 again. And we're in verse 27.
Romans 9, verse 27. Isaiah also crieth.
Now he's going to quote Isaiah.
Isaiah also crieth concerning Israel. Though the number of the children of Israel be as the sand of the sea, a remnant shall be saved.
So now let's read this quote in Isaiah 10. Isaiah chapter 10. Let's read the actual quote. Okay? Isaiah 10, and let's start at the quote's in verse 22, but let's start up at 20.
Isaiah chapter 10, verse 20. And it shall come to pass in that day that the remnant of Israel, and such as are escaped of the house of Jacob, shall no more again stay upon him that smote them.
They shall no more stay upon their slave master. That's he that smote them. They shall no more stay upon Rome, meaning Rome, take care of me. America, take care of me. No, they're going to return to the Most High God.
But shall stay upon the Lord, the Holy One of Israel, in truth.
See that key word, in truth? Go ahead.
The remnant shall return, even the remnant of Jacob, unto the mighty God. For though thy people...
This is the quote. This is the actual quote that Paul quoted. Go ahead.
For though thy people Israel be as the sand of the sea, yet a remnant of them shall return. The consumption decreed shall overflow with righteousness.
The consumption decree, because it's prophesied, a remnant of Israel shall return to Christ. Although they're scattered, although they're idolatrous, although they're in the midst of all manner of sins, they are prophesied to return to the Holy One of Israel. So now, let's go from there. Let's go to 2 Maccabees. Actually, you know what I want to get? I want to jump over to John chapter 7. That's what I want. Because I'd asked the question earlier. I said, remember it said, and in the place where it was said unto them, You are not my people. And I asked, who was saying that those scattered Israelites are not God's people? Here's the answer here. In John 7, chapter 30,
Verse 35.
Verse 33 to 35.
John chapter 7, verse 33. Then said Jesus unto them, Yet a little while am I with you, and then I go unto him that sent me. Ye shall seek me, and shall not find me. And where I am...
Let's start at 32 so that they know who's saying this.
Right. The Pharisees heard that the people murmured such things concerning him. And the Pharisees and the chief priests sent officers to take him.
See that? Pharisees and the chief priests. Go ahead.
Then said Jesus unto them, Yet a little while am I with you, and then I go unto him that sent me. Ye shall seek me, and shall not find me. And where I am, thither you cannot come. Then said the Jews among themselves.
Listen to what these Pharisees and, what does it say, Pharisees and chief priests said. Then said the Jews among themselves,
Whither will he go, that we shall not find him? Will he go unto the dispersed among the Gentiles?
Will he go to the dispersed among the Gentiles?
And teach the Gentiles?
What were they calling the dispersed of Israel? Gentiles. What were the Pharisees, the religious leaders, the chief priests, calling the dispersed of Israel? Gentiles. Read that verse again.
Then said the Jews among themselves, whither will he go, that we shall not find him? Will he go unto the dispersed among the Gentiles and teach the Gentiles?
So now, we're going to go from there because we're going to get back to this verse a little later on.
Right.
So let's go back to 2 Maccabees, chapter 4, and let's read verses 10 to 13.
2 Maccabees chapter 4, verse 10. Which when the king had granted, and he had gotten into his hand the rule, he forthwith brought his own nation to be the Greekish fashion. And the royal privileges granted of special favor to the Jews by the means of John, the father of Eupolemus, who went ambassador to Rome for amenity and aid, he took away. And putting down the governments which were according to the law, he brought up new customs against the law. For he built gladly a place of exercise under the tower itself, and brought the chief young men under his subjection, and made them wear a hat. Now such was the height of Greek fashions.
Now was the height of Greek fashion. What did they Greeks do? They set up places of exercise. They set up sports arenas. Are they doing that today? It's the same stuff.
Same spirit.
In the Roman or the Colosseums, you call them what they call
Stadiums.
Stadiums today. Go ahead.
Now such was the height of Greek fashions, and increase of heathenish manners, through the exceeding profaneness of Jason, that ungodly wretch, and no high priest.
Because Jason, he had paid to become the high priest. They bid for office to become the high priest. Wickedness, all right?
Campaigning.
Right. So now, from there, let's go to Romans 10, verse 12.
Romans 10, verse 12. For there is no difference between the Jew and the Greek.
Oh, there you go. This is where they fall off the horse at. Read it again.
For there is no difference between the Jew and the Greek.
There is no difference between the Jew and the Greek. Was that it in that verse?
There's more than the verse.
Go ahead.
For the same Lord over all is rich unto all that call upon him.
So now, there is no difference between the Jew and the Greek. What Greek were they talking about? What Greek was Paul making reference to? Remember, we just read that again, go back to Maccabees, what you just read. That they all had to conform to what?
Hard to come to what one we just read?
Right. You were in 2 Maccabees chapter 4, I think it was verse 13.
Yeah, verse 13, right. It says, I'll start at verse 12 again. 2 Maccabees chapter 4, verse 12. For he built gladly a place of exercise under the tower itself, and brought the chief young men under his subjection, and made them wear a hat. Now such was the height of Greek fashions.
Now was the height of Greek fashions. Go ahead.
And increase of heathenish manners.
And heathenish manner. 2 Maccabees 6.
2 Maccabees 6, verse 9. I think okay. You want. It says, and whoso would not conform themselves to the manners of the Gentiles should be put to death.
Right.
Then might a man have seen the present misery.
Right, that was it. Whoever would not conform himself to the manner of the Gentiles. Which Gentiles? It was talking about the Greeks, the Greek fashions. Okay? So now go back to Romans 10.
Romans chapter 10, verse 12. For there is no difference between the Jew and the Greek.
There is no difference between the Jew and the Greek. So who is this Greek talking about? The Israelites. That was under Greek customs. Remember, it was unlawful for them to call themselves a Jew. They had to call themselves Greeks, according to the Gentile manner. We just read that. So from there, let's go to John 11, verse 47. John 11, and we're going to read 47 to 52.
John 11, verse 47. Then gathered the chief priests and the Pharisees, a council, and said, what do we? For this man doeth many miracles. If we let him thus alone, all men will believe on him. And the Romans shall come and take away both our place and nation.
So who were the religious leaders afraid of? The Romans. They said, if we leave Christ alone,